Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys have been having a great morning so far and that you're off to a great start with some of the other presentations you've seen. For those of you who do not know me, which I'm pretty sure you all do, my name is Landin Brown, and I'm here to show you guys what I've been learning over the past couple of years here at IWU. Just a quick little disclaimer before I jump into the projects. Although I chose 2 projects from Jen's classes, I just want to give a huge thank you to all of you guys for being so instrumental in my development as a designer. I definitely would not be in the place I am today without all of your help and your guidance and your patience throughout the years. And some of the projects have been really cool for me. The 2 I picked were just very instrumental for my development, but so were the one where we create our own typeface and advanced type this last semester, the one in HCD where we redesigned the building, the one in regular typography with the 300 project. That was definitely something very stressful, but I learned a lot through it, and it was great looking back on it from the end point of view. So thank you guys so much. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. The first project I want to share with you guys was from the fall of my freshman year. I was in Jen's Fundamental Design Studio class, and the project I decided to go with from this class was called Journey Map. It was actually something that we were supposed to create in Photoshop that was supposed to highlight one of our strengths and weaknesses. And so kind of going into this, one of the main things I wanted to do was to do a lot of research into myself and figure out what exactly my strengths and weaknesses were. I did a ton of personality tests. The Myers-Briggs test was one that I had fun with. I figured out I was an INTJ. And that I also did a lot of Enneagram testing and figured out that I was a 3 wing 2. I also followed this with some personal feedback from people I knew and also reflected myself on my own strengths and weaknesses to kind of come up with a comprehensive list of stuff that others and myself found within me. Eventually, I kind of narrowed this down to where my strength was protecting others, and I actually also had a contrasting weakness that I picked out, which was timidity. And then I started researching some more. I did a lot of research into like cultural symbols and representations of protectors, which was really interesting because I'd never really seen the way other cultures understand protection. So it was really kind of cool looking into like Egypt and some Nordic ruins and stuff like that that just showed what they thought of protection. I also did a lot of visual research that kind of highlighted what these other cultures thought of protection as well as our own culture through the use of comic books and the depictions of strength and strong animals. So then I also tried to re-ideate as well, and I kind of did some sketches of the cultural symbols and the animals, and I was trying to go for this very strong vibe with my design, as you can see in some of these sketches. Something very striking that the viewer would recognize right away. But after getting some feedback from some other people, I actually realized that there was something I was super passionate about that I had totally missed and not even thought about, and that was football and the Riddell Company, which has a lot to do with protecting football players through their helmets. So I ended up going with a completely different direction. As you can see, this was kind of the way I was thinking. I did an outline of one of the IWU football players, and I included cultural elements of the IWU football culture, including some of the fans, the mascot, the coaches, and some of the other players in there. And then I also kind of created some lateral designs with the helmets that were supposed to supplement it in some sort of campaign, which is really kind of cool looking back at my very first sports design and seeing how I understood the process back then. I think the biggest takeaway I had from this project was that I realized a lot about my own design process. I learned a lot about researching, and I also learned a lot about the ideation and re-researching and re-ideating stuff. I also learned a lot about clipping masks and camera raw filters in Photoshop, which I use all the time now. So it's kind of funny looking back and seeing how I've grown in those areas as well. The second project I want to share with you guys is actually from this past semester in another one of Jen's classes. The project 2 for us in that class was centered around the 2020 election season and trying to generate voter turnout through a comprehensive campaign. When we went about defining this project, we actually had to set out parameters for ourselves, and I ended up drawing the numbers and letters for state and vote, which meant that I had to pick a specific state and then generate voter turnout for that state. The other options were country and register. So going about selecting a state, at first I was looking at states like Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, some of these states that I had very clear visual identities of, or like ideas of what their identities would be. Before eventually landing on my home state of Ohio, which I've just figured like I might as well go with something that I knew. And so a lot of the research I did was trying to figure out what the cultural symbols were in Ohio. At first I did a lot of research into like the state bird, the state tree, trying to find out what was important to people in the state. And then I also did a lot of research into American symbols like the flag, the stars and stripes, and trying to see any kind of connection between those two. The third step that I did with my research involved looking into Ohio State's football team, the Buckeyes, which is something that people are very passionate about here, and trying to see how I could use that in a way that would generate support for the election season. I actually ended up focusing even more on the Ohio State football team moving forward, narrowed down my research. I did a lot of visual research into some of the past jerseys they've worn, and also just some of the photo shoots they've done to kind of generate some ideas for myself. My ideation involved sketching over some of the photos that I did research on for the football team, and it was really kind of fun just kind of getting to know what I was looking at and trying to simplify it down, since I wanted to go for a minimalist style with my designs. The actual result for this was an Instagram account that featured 9 separate posts that were all vectorized work of my own, and each post was animated in a unique way, talking about different aspects of Ohio State's culture, the football teams, players, and different jerseys that they wore throughout history. To kind of generate pride for the Buckeyes, we're also trying to get voter turnout up. This was the Instagram page. It was a giant 9-page grid that I actually ended up implementing. And then the implementation of this project was actually through the use of posters and other kinds of public displays that would be put out throughout the city of Columbus to kind of generate pride throughout the city of both the Buckeyes and of the election season, and to kind of play on the pride the city has for the team. I actually created a mock-up of a box and an iPhone with the Instagram page on it, followed by some stickers that were of some of the custom logos I made throughout the process. And it was really fun just kind of being able to create such a comprehensive thing alongside the type project that we also did around the same time. So just kind of learning mock-ups and everything like that. One of the biggest takeaways I had from this project was just the way to marry such a digital campaign and try to make it also physical through the use of the stickers and the boxes. I also learned a lot about my home state, which is really interesting, and found it interesting that different cultural symbols could all relate back to the same general topic. So I think it's important to realize that there is a clear connection between these two pieces through the form of sports design. So the first was actually my very first sports design, while the second was actually my latest sports design outside of the stuff I've done for work. So it's very cool seeing the transformation between those two pieces. For those of you who don't know, I work for 3 of the sports teams here at IWU. I designed for the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team, and the football team, kind of creating campaigns and social media pieces for them and recruiting pieces for them. So it's definitely something I'm very passionate about, and it's something that I love to do. It marries my passion for sports and athletics to my love for technology and graphic design. And it kind of relates back to my paper where I talked about graphic design being important because it's littered throughout all of our culture, no matter where you look, even if you're looking into sports. And these are just some of the examples I've done over the past year or two here at IWU with some of the graphics I've created for the teams. And I think what's even more important is realizing how sports design connects everything that I've been doing here for the design program. So if you look at the big picture of it all, everything I've learned through type and advanced type, I've learned a lot more about how to select specific typefaces for my purpose that I'm using. I learned a lot about layouts and grids and trying to implement those. Human-centered design actually taught me a lot about my ability to kind of connect with the athletes I'm designing for and with, and trying to make them feel valued as a part of this bigger thing. My work with Fundamental Design Studio actually taught me a ton about how to actually use the software. Even though I've had to teach a lot to myself over the years, it just definitely gave me a great place to launch from. And even UXD with the class that we had last semester, just kind of learning about the way things should be laid out in a digital environment. The one-page website project we did actually helped me a ton when it came to like trying to create carousel posts for the teams for their social media. And I also just learned a lot about working with other people through the group projects we've done throughout the years, and just kind of working alongside the coaches for the sports teams as well, and being able to juggle everything through them. And so sports design is the direction I want to head towards in my future career. I really love seeing what sports designers are able to come up with and the ways they're able to take a generally uniform industry and be able to interpret it in unique and new ways all the time, and just bring value to the athletes' lives as well, and being able to show them that they're more than just a number on a team. So it means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for taking your time to listen to this video and this presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. I would love to answer them. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.